Hey, back again, and this week is Genset Repair Part 3. And we get to head into town and catch up with Brad from the radiator repair shop and get to have a chat and see what the state of the coolant reservoir is. And then it's time to order a whole lot of parts from the parts manual. So depending on how the coolant conditioning is gone, depends on how much stuff we need to order and if it's even available. This week is going to be an experience. Right, we're here at Richmond Radiator Repairs to pick up our coolant reservoir that Brad has been taking a look at. Is it going to be fixable? Who knows? That's crazy, eh?
Yep, and the cast iron's just rotten.
And so it's all just... And so that was this... So this is all caked in through here.
Yep.
Is that avoidable?
Yep, well, you're not using cast iron.
Yeah. Because I'm having a hell of a job trying to find this part. Because it's like a 40-year-old...
Yeah.
1987 was when it was built. We've been using it hardcore for the last 4 years, and then it's only had 429 hours on the Genset in its whole life.
Yeah, and it's just all lack of maintenance.
And then we've probably put 300 of those hours on the Genset in the last 3 years.
Yeah. And unfortunately, it's lack of maintenance.
So if you were using it more regularly, just the use of it would blast the carbon out. No, because I don't imagine
a big part of it is the fact that there's no good quality antifreeze in the protector. Yeah. And you get a bit of a carbon build up, and it only does a short run. It builds up a bit more shit. Then a short cold run and it builds up a bit more shit. Whereas you're stuck at hard work. Right, let's go. And it's just all fouled up. It's just everything else is pungent.
Because I actually went to the Cummins dealer over in Blenheim, like the truck dealer, I guess. And they sold me the pink antifreeze. And then in the comments of one of the videos, a whole lot of Onan, Genset engineers and mechanics went, fuck, you should only use green in that. And it's like, well...
But there's 50 different types of green too. Yeah. Your Winds antifreeze is your best. Is it? By country mile. It's got the most glycol in it, it's got the most corrosion inhibitors in it, it's got the most anti-boil agents, anti-foaming agents, it's got everything in the bush. Yeah. Whereas, Repco, super cheap.
Well, I
used
the
antifreeze is
the Cummins one, and it was horrible.
And the Wind stuff is better. It's got more front. Have a look at these bottles from here. So you've got two antifreezes, you think, oh yeah, pretty similar in colour. Until you do that.
They look the same.
The top one looks like glowing cordial.
Oh yeah,
Give it a shake, which one's the concentrate, which one's not.
Okay.
Yeah, so that one's sticking on the sides,
There you go.
Yeah.
That's Repco's concentrate, straight out of their bottle. I've not diluted it, not done anything, I've just put it in a glass bottle so you can see. Crawthorne came back and said that was 38% diluted with water. That's the Wind stuff. You had to dilute that 20% for them to test it.
Alex, take a very close up on that so we can go and find that.
Is that a heat exchanger?
I'm the one that carries the Winds in Nelson.
Are you?
Yeah.
Sweet.
So I'm the top half of the South Island depot.
Okay.
Yeah. And don't forget to put on there, you've got to have that bit there. Bit of advertising for that.
Advertising.
Thanks, sir.
And a pen.
And a pen.
Do you need one of those as well, Max?
There you go, Max.
You need to make some stickers up.
Have you got an orange pen as well, Max?
There you go. And we've just been into his workshop to have a big chat about what's going on with our coolant reservoir for the Genset, which is very heavy, so it's a bit of a struggle to hold up. Alex, come over here. So the long and short of the whole thing is that this is toast and it's ruined. So what we have to do is find a new one. Somehow we've got to find this part again. So thankfully we've got a part number, and it is very, very old. It was made in 1987. So the hunt for spare parts begins. Now, a whole lot of stuff I can get quite readily and easily, thermostats and bits and pieces like that, but on all of the websites I've looked at, I haven't managed to see anything significant. So we're going to have to try and reach out to Onan and Cummins and see what they can do. Hopefully they've got a warehouse somewhere in the world with a whole lot of these bits and pieces in boxes ready to go and ready to come to our little neck of the woods so that we can fix this up, because fixing this is going to be a whole lot cheaper than trying to get that Genset out of the boat. We've folded into the engine room, about to order some parts for the Genset here, the Onan Genset. And I know that there's going to be one question and one question only at the beginning of the conversation, and that is, what is the serial number? This is a difficult question to answer, and it need not be. You would think that this would be an easy thing to find. Check this out. Scanning the engine, where would you put a serial number? Oh look, there's a metal plate. Maybe it's down in there. No, it's just blank. Scanning the engine, scanning the engine. There looks like a good place to put a number. It's got some holes, and it looks like a plate was there once upon a time, but no. Right down here, see that black thing? That's actually the plate with all of the information on it. This doesn't move. This is built into the whole structure, and then the engine is slid into this. So in order to read all of this information, you kind of have to dismantle all of this and pull it out, or you've got to try and leverage yourself down there enough to actually read it. Now, I have read it, so I know what the numbers are. The process was so difficult that I thought I might as well show everyone. These are stamped into the metal plate. So with a torch on them, you can only read it from a certain light. And I've had to fold myself into 3 different pieces in order to actually get down there to find it. Crazy. We have arrived back from Richmond Exhaust and Radiator Specialists with this big radiator coolant box, which is toast. And that is the unfortunate part of this whole equation. This thing is needing to be replaced or significantly repaired, because essentially this whole bit in here is completely rotten. So that's the thing. Next on the agenda is to contact Onan, Cummins in New Zealand or Australia and see whether or not we can actually order one of these as a new component so that we can fit it new. Otherwise, we're left with trying to repair it. As a consequence of transporting bits and pieces backwards and forwards, this hasn't been cleaned, and it needs to be cleaned, but it's also been damaged, and we've lost the connection on the heat sensor here, so that is also going to need to be replaced. This whole experience, what a kerfuffle. But what it also showcases is the realities of old boat ownership. You know, this boat is 36 years old. This engine, who knows, 36 years old, 40 years old, and it's been in the marine environment for that whole time. It hasn't done a lot of hours, however, it has been in active service for this whole time. And had a really interesting talk with Brad. like super interesting, and learned a whole lot about how coolant systems work and how antifreeze works and how coolant fluid works. And at the end of the day, if you don't change out your coolant system fluid regularly, you're going to end up with these kind of problems. Now, we did the maths and he showed me what the maths look like in terms of how many engine hours versus how many kilometers you would travel if this whole system had been attached to a car. And essentially we're doing the equivalent of about 15,000 kilometers a year. Every 2 years, 30,000 kilometers, which means you would need to do an entire coolant system flush at that point. This doesn't normally happen. Like, we've had our engines serviced 2 times in the 4 years that we've had it, and we haven't really ever touched the coolant system. So that's something to be aware of, and that's certainly something that I'm going to consider going forward. As we learned from our conversation with Brad, you do 30,000 kilometers with coolant in a system, that coolant turns acidic, and that coolant essentially needs to be drained from the system and completely flushed through so there's no coolant left, and then new coolant put in. That doesn't tend to happen in vehicles or boats, and that's a massive problem. Here is the end result of not doing that. And 40 years or 36 years of a coolant system possibly never being maintained properly, you end up with this situation where you have this massively heavy cast iron block that has just been eaten away by coolant that has been constantly topped up but never actually flushed through. So I've learned a lot from this whole process, and going forward I'll be treating our coolant system altogether differently than just topping it up and making sure that there's always coolant in the engines. The coolant fluid is delicate, and it's a complex chemical balance where the glycol that's in it is there to manage effectively how all of the other chemicals work together, and over time it just turns into an acidic sort of mix or soup which ends up eating the insides of the coolant system. So it needs to be replaced, not just topped up. And that's something that I've never contemplated, never done with our car engines before, and certainly something I hadn't really considered in terms of where the boat is placed. So getting to grips with all of this, getting all of this fixed, is going to have a flow-on effect of doing a complete overhaul on the main engines as well. So watch this space. As per normal, one job cascades into other jobs, and so it's never really over. These jobs just run into each other. But for now, the next thing we need to do is find out whether or not we can actually replace this. We need to go onto the internet, make some inquiries, probably make some phone calls, and see whether or not this whole unit and all of the associated bits can be replaced. I can find little bits of the equation. I can find a replacement aftermarket heat exchanger. I can find radiator caps, but these big bits I haven't seen. So it's going to require conversations with the Onan suppliers in Auckland, and possibly even the Onan suppliers in Australia. These engines are old, 40 years old, but they're in use all over the world. So I'm imagining there's a warehouse full of spare parts somewhere that we can access. Fingers crossed. Thank you very much for watching and sharing in a little glimpse into our life. We really appreciate being able to share these videos with our friends and family and the wider community online that we are now meeting. Please like and subscribe and leave a comment, as all of this really helps our channel grow. We also have a Patreon account now too, if you would like to engage with us more and get access to a deeper layer of content, as well as some of the art we have been creating along the way. See you in the next video, and we hope you find a way to be a little bit naughty each and every day. Take care.